For the first time in a long time, the number of murders in London has surpassed New York City. It's like an American werewolf in London. Instead of a werewolf, we're talking about knives. And while the UK is taking proactive measures to put an end to it, American conservatives are losing their absolute minds over what they perceive as an opportunity to own the libs and make pro-gun arguments or fearmonger about immigration or whatever conservatives do.
Apparently, there's been a wild upswing in the amount of murder in London.
Benny Boy, of course, cares about the murders in London, not because this presents a ripe opportunity for him to spear dick his ideology into the conversation and spread misinformation, but because he genuinely hates when people die, unless they're black. Or Muslim, of course.
Well, that's not a tremendous shock, considering that the demographics of London have changed.
Yeah, no. Numerous studies from both Harvard and the London School of Economics have found zero evidence that immigration in the UK has led to an increase in crime. As a matter of fact, in periods of high immigration, violent crime has decreased. And in areas with a high number of immigrants, the crime rate is lower on average. A big reason for crime in areas with immigrant populations is also the likelihood of immigrants becoming victims of crime. So for a guy who made facts don't care about your feelings his mantra, you sure seem to love infusing your feelings into arguments, Ben. But go on, now that we've moved past your racial biases, let's talk about knife control, which, as you can see, I'm not even on board with.
They're using the exact same logic they used about guns, and now they're applying it to knives.
Hold up, let me just stop you for a second. This might come as a shock to you, but knives and guns are very different. And there's already a policy on knives not dissimilar to those in certain areas of the US. This is not a wholesale ban on kitchen utensils and sharp objects like you suggest, it's just more of a draconian application of the policies already in place, including a revival of the British form of stop and frisk, which I'm pretty sure you love.
The vast majority of people who are stopped and frisked are black and Hispanic. That's because the vast majority of people in New York City who actually commit gun crimes are black and Hispanic.
Like right here, when you're defending something that was found unconstitutional because it turned out to target 80% people of color and would rarely ever lead to real arrests. And I don't necessarily agree with its application in the UK either, but then again, I'm not an intellectually dishonest hack like you are, Ben. But go on, back to knives.
The UK Parliament is considering bills that would restrict the manufacture and purchase of kitchen cooking knives because they have points on them.
Yeah, a restriction already in place in Scotland and only for children under the age of 16. Again, not a wholesale ban on pointy things. I'd say we finally agree on something, but you're not exactly consistent about what you're on board with.
So I guess machetes would still be okay, like the one that Muslim terrorist used to chop down an actual British soldier.
Wait, so you're now advocating for a ban on machetes? Because it seems like you were just making a statement about how dumb a knife ban was only moments ago. Do you ever hold consistent arguments, or do you just ramble things really fast to purposely mislead your audience?
It's not really clear what they're going to use in London to cut their food anymore if you can't get a home delivery of a knife. And if you're not allowed to carry it home, how do you actually get the knife from the department store home?
Yes, Ben, they're calling for a complete shutdown on all knives and anything sharp entering the UK. This is a very reasonable and smart argument you're making. Except you demonstrate a clear understanding of what the new policies actually are right here.
Empowering the Met Police to introduce targeted patrols with extra stop and search powers for areas worst affected.
Which you then proceed to ridicule. But please, now that you've essentially argued for and against the same thing, tell us about how you'll solve knife attacks, Ben.
It ain't about the knives, folks. Maybe you ought to look at the people who are wielding the knives.
That's literally the policy you're ridiculing as a knife ban. That's what it's meant to do, you imbecile. Which you all of a sudden omit in your scorching hot take of a conclusion.
And then we'll crack down on fists, and then we'll crack down on any blunt object in your home. Soon, we'll end up all sitting in blank rooms with no furniture, because anything can be used as, maybe pillows, but no, we could use pillows for suffocation.
I'm gonna go ahead and assume that this was meant sarcastically, but since you have the emoting capabilities of an Alexa home helper, it just comes across as incoherent ramblings of a robotic man baby. And I love that your fans also use this clip to showcase how bad policing is in the UK. Only in America would we get upset at police for trying to reason with an assailant instead of gunning him down instantly. Also, conservatives talk a big game about their need to own guns to potentially fight back against the tyrannical police state, yet they celebrate and defend police brutality at every turn. But I guess flagrant hypocrisies don't really matter when your main concern is just owning the libs. So if you or a loved one has been personally fooled by Ben's sexy rhetoric and laconic quips on why we need to control immigration and not guns, let me leave you with the only comparative statistic that matters. You're 138 times more likely to be murdered by a gun in the US than the UK. You know why? Because gun control works, bitch. I'm Hassan Piker. Please don't forget to share this video against all the misinformation and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to follow my Instagram at Hassan D. Piker and my Twitch at Hassan Piker. And this has been The Breakdown.